Following the premiere of Ahsoka on Disney Plus, Disney was quick to point out, look, we got 14 million views on this show on the first 5 days of its premiere. And I was kind of sitting like, well, okay, is that a good number? I mean, it sounds like a lot, but at the same time, we had no frame of reference because Disney hasn't released their numbers up to that point. And the way they came about that is they said they got the amount of minutes viewed for the show and then divide it by the runtime of the show. And that's how they came up with 14 million. And it's like, okay, that seems like a reasonable idea. I mean, not necessarily the best way, but that seems okay. At least it's some measure, but we didn't know what the overall view time was of it. It was just kind of like a trust me bro approach towards Disney. Well, then the Nielsen numbers came out and they have their minutes viewed for the show. And overall, it had number 2 for the streaming shows and then number 5 overall. So, okay, that sounds good until you look at the actual viewership numbers of that, like divide the runtime by the minutes viewed. And then you can see the ratings weren't as good as what they appeared. And I'll get more on that in a moment. But now it's even worse news for Ahsoka. So Ahsoka viewership falls off Nielsen's overall top 10 chart second week, nearly identical to Andor that was chasing the audience. Lucasfilm's latest Star Wars Disney Plus Ahsoka show fell off Nielsen's overall top 10 chart in the second week. In the first week of its release, the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka racked up 829 million minutes, which was good for a 5th on Nielsen's top 10 overall chart. And if you did what Disney did, where you divide the 829 million minutes by the runtime of the show, it came out to around like a little less than 9 million views. So obviously significantly lower than the 14 million that Disney was bringing in. But at the same time, it's like now we got some type of frame of reference. But then the second week came about and yeah, I mean, for this overall chart, it fell off the top 10. And on the streaming chart, which was number 2, it fell down to, I believe, number 5. Does it show it here? Oh yeah, right here. This is the streaming chart. So yeah. Oh wait, no, this is the overall chart. Wait a minute, where is this? Oh yeah, here's the for the streaming chart right now. So now it's at number 5. So obviously it's doing significantly worse. And if you also look at the minutes, 487 million minutes viewed in the second week versus the first week, which was 829 million minutes viewed. I mean, it's had a huge drop off. And like the article points out, I mean, it's similar to what happened with Andor. And as we all know with Andor, I mean, I pointed this out in a previous video where the actual number of viewers for Ahsoka in its first week was similar to shows like Andor and Book of Boba Fett, which were also considered to be bombs. I mean, Andor did so bad that they actually tried, I think it was ABC Network that they put like the first couple episodes on in order to try to build up some hype to it and get people to come over to the Disney Plus platform to watch it. And no one did because no one actually cares. So now that we know that these numbers that we're getting from Ahsoka are bad. I mean, so 14 million views for Ahsoka or 14 million views on a Disney Plus platform is not considered a good number right now. And we've even seen it with other things like the live action Little Mermaid that bombed at the box office. And in the first 5 days, now that they're releasing numbers and we're getting some type of frame of reference, 16 million views isn't good either. And I believe Elemental was like 23 million views on Disney Plus, and that was another bomb at the box office. So now that we have something to go by for what Disney's putting out with the way they do their numbers, we can see what is considered good and bad. And right now it's like, since 23 million views on Disney Plus for a movie that bombs at the box office is not necessarily good numbers, and they had 14 million for Ahsoka. But before it sounds like I'm just trying to rag on Ahsoka all the time, I'm not really trying to. I mean, like, I watched it, and for me, I mean, I don't hate it. It's just a mid show in my opinion. I mean, disagree with it all you like. I mean, but at the same time, I wasn't a huge fan of Rebels. I saw a little bit of it. I saw more of Clone Wars, but I mean, I think that was okay. But I mean, I didn't watch all of it, and like I said, I didn't watch a ton of Rebels either. And this is clearly a show that's made for Rebels fans. And if you're a fan of Rebels and you like this show, that is perfectly okay. I mean, if you look at the audience score, I mean, that's pretty much what it indicates. I mean, a large section of the audience probably really likes it. And there was another section of it who just didn't care for it at all. And overall, it's just kind of mid, which is my opinion of it. But I mean, you got to understand, if you like this show, it is more of a niche show when it comes to Star Wars content. Like I said, it's for fans of Rebels. I mean, it's essentially a 5th season of Rebels, but in live action. And if they would have just made this animated and called it Rebels Season 5, then I think it would be more well received because the only people watching it would be Rebels fans. But the problem is what Disney did is they made it a live action one. They made it its first season of its own show, and kind of implies like you don't need to have watched anything else. It's a first season of a show. If you saw The Mandalorian, you saw Ahsoka, people were thinking like, okay, that's the only thing you need to know is who this character is, and that's it. Well, no, there's a lot more setup to this. And as a result, it's kind of turning off people to this show because people tune in like, oh, I can't get into this, and they leave. And it's not necessarily saying it's bad. It's just, it's not made for everyone. And the thing is, Disney is giving this the budget where they need to have that huge audience and they need to pull in those big numbers. And it's just not lending itself to that. I mean, if this does continue with the second season, what they really need to do is either reduce the budget to accommodate for the fact that this isn't going to have the same audience as some of their bigger Star Wars projects, or they need to try to tweak it in order to make it more accessible to the fans who, or to Star Wars fans who haven't necessarily watched Rebels or anything like that. But that's just my opinion on it. I mean, I don't know if they're actually going to do that because Disney has shown that they're really not capable of making these type of adjustments. So I think if they're either going to continue with this show, it's just going to see a bigger decline in the second season, or they might just cancel it outright like some of the other Disney Plus Star Wars shows, because outside of The Mandalorian, pretty much nothing else has been really hitting it for them. But that's just what I think about this. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. If you like this video, make sure you click that like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.